What's up, everybody?
Yo.
Welcome to the Tug of More.
Yeah.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Truston.
And we are two friends. Been working together 11 years. We are always having a conversation here at the Tug of More about all that God has for us. It's a tug. It's a tension. It's a fight. And we're just trying to get there, right?
That's right.
Keep saying more words.
Dude, I like just making sound effects.
Yeah.
Why don't you keep talking? I'm just going to be your hype man.
Oh, okay. Well, today we're going to talk about something exciting.
Yes.
Truston said he already knows what he wants to talk about.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know what you want to talk about, or you do know what you want to talk about?
I want to talk about, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's actually something we talk about a lot around here.
If you feel the tug of more,
That's
if
right.
you feel like God has something great for you, you had better be able to admit when you don't know something.
There's a lot of times that we don't know what we're doing.
Because if you already have the opinion that you know everything,
You are
you
never
then
gonna
do
do
not
anything.
have the capacity to learn anything.
It's true.
If you say the cup is full, the cup cannot take in any more information.
Well, and if we're tugging into more, chances are pretty good that we've never been there before. And so if we've never been there before, then most likely we don't really know what we're doing.
So no matter what you lead, the ability to admit and verbally say to someone that you don't know
Yeah.
is gold.
Yeah, that's true.
The sentence, I don't know, is the doorway to learning new information.
You know what I found out today?
I don't know.
Apparently, I don't know what I'm doing when I got dressed this morning, because you told me something that kind of made me sad.
Oh, dude, Whitney today looks like Jay Leno. Y'all know who Jay Leno is?
Leno, of
Put a
all the
photo.
people-
Put a photo of Jay Leno in.
Jay Leno, that's who I look like today.
It's because
so glad.
Jay Leno, he always wears these
Denim
shirts.
jackets.
Yeah, so Jay, he wears denim shirts and denim pants, and they call that a Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
And so Whitney's today rocking the Canadian tuxedo.
So apparently, I look like an old man today.
Or like a car mechanic from like this 80s.
Or a car mechanic. These are things I'm both
If
of
you
those
just
things.
have like a big grease stain on
both
your...
of those things is what I was going for when I got dressed today.
Hey, listen, sometimes we have to admit we don't know.
That's true. So let's keep talking about it in context of leadership, in maybe whether we're owning a business, whether we run an organization, maybe we're just leading some people in a department in the job that we have.
Maybe you're just you're a stay-at-home parent.
Yeah.
We had kids, and do you know one of the reasons Rachel's such a great mom
Right.
is because she went to a bunch of moms and said, hey, I don't know what to cook
Yeah.
for dinner. I don't know how to keep up with this laundry.
No, it's true.
I don't know how to balance the new financial strain of having children. And because she was humble enough to
Right.
say she didn't know, she could learn. So business, ministry,
Right. This
all of it.
past week, we were talking about it, that God's been kind to us to give us some connections and relationships. But we realized as we were talking about it, it's really not that. It's really been our ability to say to them,
Yeah.
hey, will you help us? We don't know.
Yeah, let's get into why people are afraid to say the sentence, I don't know.
Pride is the biggest reason.
Their pride. Because we're afraid to let people know that we
Might
don't
not-
know something.
Yeah, I think especially as Americans, we pride ourselves on being like smart and having it together. And like, if we're leading something, we want to be the ones who are the best and
Yeah.
the greatest. And so then you don't want to admit that you actually don't know.
And when we get used to pretending like we know everything, then we have to like keep that facade up.
That's true.
It's a facade, man.
It's a
it's a
facade.
facade to act like you know it all. Have you ever met those people that
Yes.
like you start saying something, they're like, yeah, oh, of course. Something I love to do is I'd be like, oh, well, tell me about it. Well, tell me about it. Or I'll be like, hey, you know where the Bible says, and you start, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, keep going.
Right.
And you call them, and they have no idea. Why
No, you're the best at
why do we do that?
Because we want to be agreeable, or
No, because we want to look like we know it all.
Yeah, I
we
think
want to
that's
look
really-
smart.
right. But again, if we're doing something great, if we're striving for more, it's pretty likely that eventually we're gonna come up with something we didn't learn in school, something we didn't already learn from our past job.
Yeah.
We're gonna come into contact with a relationship or a situation that's gonna need somebody else's help.
Yeah.
We aren't gonna be able to do it all ourselves.
Somewhere in my life's adventures, I heard a guy teaching something. I don't even all the way know what it was, but he had got on a whiteboard and he drew a big circle. I've done this illustration for our staff before.
Okay.
He drew a big circle on the whiteboard, and then he said, this is all of the knowledge in the world.
Okay.
This is all knowledge, all information, everything in the world. And then he drew a tiny little sliver of a pie, like literally the tiniest sliver.
Yeah.
And he said, and this was like a high professor, Harvard, like
Right.
billionaire genius kind of guy.
Right.
And he said, this is all I know. He says, this is the only information in the universe that I actually know. And this genius man,
Right.
it's like a famous inventor. It's probably on the internet. You can find it. He said, this is all that I know. And when I remember that, it can help me get my slice larger.
Yep.
And so for me, there's a lot I do know.
Of course, we're not saying you don't know.
But the amount
there's a lot you don't know.
I know, in contrast to the amount I don't know, is a overwhelming amount.
It's true.
I don't know anything about astrophysicists, their job. I don't know nothing about, actually I know the word chlorophyll, but I don't know.
It's kind of chlorophyll.
Yeah, I don't actually know about
Right.
that. I can't speak Greek.
Right.
I don't know about investments.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Right.
to turn raw metal into a car. I
it's
don't
true.
know how makeup is made,
Yeah.
applied. I don't know all kind of stuff.
Made or applied. That's a good. Both of those are good things that you don't know. I wonder if it is different now in the world we live in today than it even was in the world that we grew up in, because
Yeah.
nowadays so much is at our fingertips that we can Google. Think about when you were a kid. If you got in an argument with your friends on the playground about like something,
Oh, yeah.
a stat or a statistic, you'd have to wait till you went home and either like asked your parents, looked it up in the Encyclopedia Britannica,
Oh.
or like, right? But now we just pull out our phone and Google it.
Constantly.
Right.
Everything from like, what movie is that actor in?
Right.
To like,
Yes.
yeah,
I don't even know.
why is the world running out of helium?
Right.
This is a conversation we had.
This is where yes, this is important. But I think that if we are willing to understand, hey, we'll Google anything.
Yeah.
Why would we not be willing to ask people for help? But again, it goes back to pride.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've got to identify what you do know and then admit this giant percentage of the pie that
Yeah.
you don't know. Something that we've talked about together
Right.
is that the way that God answers problems in the earth is through people.
Right. Exactly.
So like if you have a problem and you are like, God, we need some more money in our budget.
Yep.
God is not going to have just gold fall out of the sky.
Yeah.
He's going to send a person.
He could, but most likely he's sending a person.
He's going to send a person
Right.
who then writes a check and makes an
Yeah.
investment in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, we might get a
He
check in the
creates-
mailbox we didn't expect, but it's going to come from a person or an organization.
God answers
Right.
problems through people.
Right.
And so the way that we gain knowledge
Yeah.
is through people.
Let's talk about a bunch of ways that we've been willing in the
Okay.
last several years to
Several years,
say,
more like today.
well, even today.
Yeah.
But let's talk about and share. I think it's important for people to know, like, what does that look like? How do you ask for help? What do you do when you don't know?
Okay.
I think that's a good question.
So if you have an area that you don't know, first find somebody who might.
Right. Might is a great, you don't have to know.
Yeah.
So often we wait until we find the right, perfect person
Yeah.
to be our mentor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This is not a conversation about finding a mentor.
No.
This is a conversation about just asking when we don't know.
Find someone who might, and they might not even be a leading expert, but do they
Right.
know a little bit more than you?
Right.
Because if they can just help me get to the next step in my tug towards
Right.
more, then that's all that I need.
Exactly.
So you find them and you just set up a opportunity.
Absolutely.
And what's the saying? Go to them with your hat in your hand. Go to them in a
Yeah.
posture of humility and,
Right.
and ask.
This is great. This is a
Like-
great thought, though. Don't go to them telling them already what you already know. They don't need you. They
know,
don't need all that.
now
Go
that I-
with humility.
That
Go.
I have the privilege of traveling and preaching
Yeah.
some. Whenever I get somewhere, there'll be somebody who like will pick me up from the airport.
Yeah.
And it's usually like a younger pastor or somebody
Yeah.
who picks me up. And there's one of two types of personalities that pick me up from the airport.
Yeah, we've talked about this a bunch.
Have we talked about it here though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So there's the kind of person who picks me up from the airport that when I get into their car to go to the convention or
Right.
wherever we're going, they tell me everything they're doing.
Right.
Here's my ministry, here's our strategy, here's our plan. And it is like, if it's a 40-minute car ride, for 40 minutes, I'm hearing them talk to me about how great they are,
Right. Or how much they've done.
how much they've done, their
Right.
name dropping and all the
Right.
things. And then we get out and they have learned nothing.
Right.
Or there's the other person who says, hey, Pastor Truston, it's so nice to meet you. Honored to have 40 minutes with you.
Right.
I've got 5 questions that I'd love to ask you while we drive. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I know I'm with a good leader.
Right.
So now this younger person will ask me these questions. Now they're just pulling information out of my head.
Right.
They've already done a little research on who I am and what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And dude, it's great for me. It's
No,
not work.
right.
I enjoy helping the people.
Right.
But it really is this. I'm like, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the flexor?
Right.
Or do I want to be the sponge?
No, it's true.
And the sponges are the winners.
No, you just said something great, though. I think the first thing we have to do is identify that most people do want to help. You said something there, you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we can be scared that asking for help, they don't want to help us. They don't want to give us
Yeah.
information. They don't want to share what they know. And some people may not.
Yeah.
But who cares about those? Worst thing they can do is say no.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, people are excited to get to share what God's done for them, what they've
Yes.
learned, all those things. Go
At
ahead.
the beginning of the summer,
Yeah.
I was taking a sabbatical,
Yeah.
which in non-pastor language is just a vacation. And so I was taking some time
Right.
off to like rest and reflect and
Right.
refresh and all these things. And I'd never done that before. I've
Yeah.
taken vacations, but I'd never been gone for like long
Weeks
duration.
at a time, yeah.
And so I called 3 friends, 2 of them mentors, 1 of them like a friend.
Yeah.
One, shout out John McKenzie. He's pastor of Hope Fellowship,
Yeah.
great church in Dallas. Great big church.
Yeah.
Multiple campuses.
Right.
Dude's a killer. He's a stud.
Stud leader, one of the greatest leaders we
And
know.
I say to him, hey, Pastor, can I set up a time? I just want to ask you some questions about how to rest on a
Yeah.
sabbatical.
Yeah.
And so him and I probably had a 30-minute phone call. I asked him a couple questions, and it literally shifted my mindset on so many things.
Good, yeah.
And at the end of the call, I'm like, hey, thank you so much for taking. And he says, no, man, I love to do this.
Yeah.
He's like, the information I just told you took me 20 years to learn.
Right.
And he's like, why would I not want to pass that along? Why would I not
Exactly.
want to hand that down?
Exactly.
And I think that people love to talk about what they've learned.
Right.
It's just, are we willing to ask?
No, it's so good, so important. And I think, yeah, we have to be humble enough to go, it's all right that I don't always know. You and I are in meetings and conversations all the time. We've gotten the opportunity to learn about finances, and we've purchased land, and we've done all kinds of building plans and all different things that, yeah, we're not engineers, we're not architects, we're not bankers.
No.
I'm not even financial guru of anything, even
Yeah.
though I do my very best to help steward the money in this house or in God's house. But I'm like, the only way we've been able to do any of those things is by asking for help. Asking for questions,
Yeah.
asking somebody else, hey, will you show me the way? And what you just said is so good, because you in 30 minutes acquired
20
knowledge.
years of knowledge.
From 20 years worth of wisdom,
Yeah.
of sacrifice, of trial and error. Come on now. Like,
it's-
that is huge.
It's because of humility.
Absolutely.
So as we've bought the land and buildings and
Yeah.
transfers and big financial transactions,
Huge things, yeah.
I did not learn that in Bible college.
No, right.
They did not teach me that. I learned a very small sliver in
Yeah.
college while I was there. And, I think that sometimes degrees are dangerous.
Yeah, you and I get to fight
Degree-
about this,
no.
because I have kids that I'm like, go to college.
No,
but
it's
but
true.
you're right.
Sometimes
You're right.
degrees are dangerous, because what we do is we get this little paper that we hang on our wall. I've got one in my office.
Right.
And it says, here's what he is. My wife has her master's degree.
Right.
She's a master. And we have these degrees, and then we think because I've have this degree,
Right.
we're a master. No, man. You have mastered your tiny sliver, the most tiny sliver of
Right.
knowledge.
No, it's so
but
good.
when we would position ourselves, so we just not too long ago asked some finance gurus.
Yep.
Like a one guy who's a land developer,
Yep.
another guy who's a money guy that we have a relationship with that don't even live in Texas.
Right.
And we essentially begged them
Yeah.
to fly to Living Church on their dime.
Yep. We bought them barbecue.
We bought them lunch at Big D's Barbecue.
Come on,
spent
shout out Mansfield.
$50 on barbecue for
Yeah.
4 people. And man, we asked those dudes so many questions.
So many questions.
So much stuff.
Yeah.
And they gave us some shifts and some directions. And if you do this and do this first, and no. Don't. One of the things they told us to not do may have saved us $2 million.
It's true.
One conversation saved us millions.
Right.
You want to keep going? Or you got something there?
No, you're good. I mean,
We had a meeting. We had somebody make a big donation to the church.
Oh,
This was
yeah.
a couple years ago, and we had some big debt in an area. And so me and Pastor Whitney are like, you know what we're doing? We're just going to pay off the debt.
Yeah,
we're just going to pay this off.
Because I don't want to have debt in my house, so
Right.
I'm not trying to have debt in the church.
We go and ask some of our directors, and some men and women that have wisdom about finances.
Right.
And they go, no, don't do that. Do this. Invest here and move this and reconsolidate.
Right.
And it was like,
oh,
wow, you guys are way smarter than us.
Yes, in this area. There's the same people, though, coming to us for wisdom about
they're in the altar crying.
Right.
Their marriages are
biblical
getting changed.
Right. Because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we have knowledge about.
Yeah.
And so, like, man, if we can work together, it's incredible what we can accomplish. And so we've been able to see that our willingness, 6 years ago, we called pastors like, hey, we know you, we trust you. You tell us what to do, we'll do anything you tell us to do.
Yeah.
John McKenzie's one of them that we
Yeah.
sat in his office before and just said, Pastor, what should we do? And we do whatever he says. But then not just in the areas like that we're already knowledgeable in areas that we have no clue. And that can be, I think, sometimes very intimidating because I already know that I have zero knowledge about this area.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come in not even like, hey, I know this much, but what do you think here? I'm just literally like, I don't know. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
And I think that one's a really hard one sometimes when you're like, I don't know nothing about this area.
Right.
But I need to learn it. Who can help me?
Sometimes if there's an area, so like as we're in the process of building,
Yeah.
like I never knew that we were going to have to hire an engineer to do all these dirt work studies.
Right.
And so that they have to like inject lime into the earth to firm it. Like
crazy.
I didn't know all of these things.
Yeah.
And so you know what I did? I just started watching a bunch of YouTube videos.
Right.
I literally just watched YouTube videos about like steel construction, tilt wall construction, dirt work prep, like just anything to put some content into my brain so that when I put myself in rooms to learn, I'm not so dumb that I can't even follow the conversation.
It's great. It's super good.
I am unable to have a conversation with a person about the NHL, hockey.
Oh, yeah. All I know is they fight, and sometimes they take their shirt over their head.
I know Wayne Gretzky.
Right. That's it.
That's about all that I know.
There's ice on the rink.
There's ice and skates and a puck.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to be able to have a good conversation about hockey, I would get on and I would type in, what are the rules of hockey?
Right.
And I would listen to a thing.
No, it's so good.
This is what we need to do.
No, you could, because those people who have questions that they're driving you from the airport to the church, those questions, maybe they're pulling out of their head, but normally they've been thinking about them. They've known, if I get the opportunity, this is what I want. I've met with students before. We have an internship program here at Living Church, and the ones who are the most successful are the ones who've come with prepared questions ready to go to ask and to help. And I think that that's it. Like, don't just call a meeting like, I want to learn about this, but you don't really have a basis of what you want to learn. But it's okay if you don't know much, but you're like, hey, I've researched, I've tried, and now here's some questions I have. Can you help me? And I just, man, the amount of things we've been able to learn and accomplish, I'm like, what else? What else is there? So many things.
We've talked to people about how to create our organizational governance.
Oh, that's true.
We've talked to people about like staff structures.
Yep.
I've got a text right now to a mentor that I want to have a meeting with him about how they navigate their staff meetings, because like as our organization grows, there are now more people at the table, and so the tables start to get like a lot, and so like how many meetings should I be having?
Yep.
And so I'm like, I've never led a staff meeting that has 20 people in it.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, are there better ways that I can navigate this? And so I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I've got a dude that I work out with who knows more than me. He
Yeah.
has a degree in that, and so he helps me. Whitney doesn't cut her own hair.
No.
Right? I'm just saying, like,
if I would have tried, it would not be good. I would look more like Jay Leno.
all of these areas, we submit ourselves under somebody, and we have a heart of humility. But sometimes in that tug of more, I think people don't advance because they're just too afraid to admit they need help.
Yeah. But the truth is that's way more refreshing. And you and I were in a conversation.
This is about to be so good.
A while ago. No, we were in a conversation a while ago with some people. And you know, we're awesome. We have brilliant personalities. We're fun and funny. I'm serious. But those were not the reasons why they were drawn to help us. They told us later, they said, the reason why, what?
You cracked me up.
What?
It's just funny.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And they told us later, they said, the reason we were so drawn to help you is, yes, I believe in the vision of what God's doing in your church. I believe that you guys are powerful, mighty leaders. I believe that you've been set apart and that you're going to achieve more.
But because we started.
But the reason that I said these people are special, these people are different, I want to help them, is because you literally asked for help. And they said you would be shocked how many people come to us and say they want help, but are not willing to actually hear what we have to say.
Yeah, aren't willing to learn. Aren't willing to change
Right.
what they thought.
Yes.
So like sometimes people want to talk to some big wig leader or next level person, but it's not just talk to them or ask them questions. It's really be in the position of like, I'm going to walk out of here thinking different than I think now.
Yes. Change my mind.
Please change my mind.
Yes, right. And I think that's the thing. Some people are willing to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then when they get there, they are unwilling to change.
Yeah.
They're unwilling to change their mind or their opinion or their thoughts. Or they get, I don't know, maybe they get intimidated in the moment and they're like, never mind, I'm sticking to my guns. But I think for you and I, we get our mind changed a lot. Not in what's real that we believe about God and business, all those things. But we're willing to say, hey, we don't really know. How can we do it different? How can we do it better?
Okay, so let's talk about if somebody's listening and they haven't ever done this before.
Yeah.
Or they know that it's like rubs them the wrong way. How do you begin to be humble? Like this is what we're talking about is really like humility. It's you submitting yourself under somebody else's information and knowledge and wisdom and perspective. How do you start to grow humility? It's a muscle.
It is a muscle.
Same way you can start bench pressing more is by just doing it. How do you start to become humble?
Well, I mean, I think that...
So first, admit you don't know it all.
Yeah, you have to be willing to admit you don't know it and then be willing to put yourself... Yeah, it's a posture.
Yeah.
It could be a posture of deciding, okay, I don't know a lot about this area and I want to know more, but I'm going to go serve or volunteer or help in an area maybe that I am familiar with.
Yeah.
Sometimes humility in one place comes from being humble in the place that you feel strength and confident. And so like for me, if I'll go and serve some of the students in the college near us that are like wanting to be in ministry, girls who are wanting to step into more, because that me being humble in that moment to say my time is valuable, but I'm going to submit and give it to you, helps me gain a posture of humility in these other places, in these other rooms that I might step into.
Right. The word that you said that's the key would be the point if I were writing this down in bold notes is posture. Yeah. That sometimes we can walk through life with this posture, but if we can just go to people with a posture of like, teach me. Right. I want to learn. Yeah. So admit you don't know it all. Build a list of questions. Yeah. Walk in with the right posture.
Well, I think that a lot of people who have pride, it's really insecurity.
Okay.
And so if you can get confident in what you do know, you can be okay there, then it makes it a lot easier to step in. I think some people fight that so hard because they're just insecure everywhere they are.
Right. So we're insecure, and so we're trying to prove that we're allowed at the table.
Right.
We're trying to prove, those people that it's like they like to hear themselves talk.
Yes.
The reason they do that is because they want to prove that they even should be in the room.
Right. That they even belong.
And once we have the confidence that we're where we're supposed to be, we can shut up for a minute.
Yeah.
You can't. It's very hard to listen and talk at the same time.
Right. No, it's true.
So stop talking and start listening.
Yeah.
Take notes. What is your note thing?
What is my note thing?
You have like a quote.
Note takers or history makers.
Note takers or history makers. Yeah. And so once you submit yourself under the thing, take notes. Yeah. Constantly, we'll be in meetings and me and Whit will both be taking down notes. And I'll be like, did you get that?
Yeah.
Like.
No, it's super good.
And then go back and review it.
Yeah. No, I think so. And then if you have a time where you do it and you do it wrong, just try again. I think being willing to try again and go like, oh, I didn't handle that one very well. Or, oh, I flexed too hard there. Yeah. Just, you got to be self-aware.
Something you alluded to is really good, that we're not looking for a one-stop shop.
Right.
Sometimes when it comes to growing in wisdom or knowledge or whatever, we want a one-stop shop. We're like, I need a person who is perfect in all of these areas and they can answer all my questions. And so like, okay, maybe there's a Superman or a Captain Marvel out there that I can go and ask. Or maybe I have to build a team.
Correct.
And so like for us right now in your office on the whiteboard, right now, we have like our real estate development team of names of men and women in our church and even outside of our church that are a part of the team to help us. And none of them are one-stop shop. Nobody knows the real estate. Nobody knows the land. Nobody knows the financing all in one.
Right.
And if they do know it all in one, you're going to have to write them a big check.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Build a team of wisdom.
We, in our building process, have been told the amount of money it would cost us. Remember this?
Yeah.
To have a person who would be the one-stop shop person who might not, they might not know, but they'll go research it. And it was
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Like $600,000. And we were like, oh no, we can ask questions.
Yeah,
like,
but a lot of churches do that.
No, they do. They pay for it. And so, and then that's not wrong if that's what they decide to do. But for us, in the context we're in and in the financial place we're in, we're like, this is not wisdom. And so, man, what you're saying is really good. And I think it's important because we live in a culture that is all about mentorship, that everyone's trying to find a mentor. And that's good. It is good, but it's really rare to have one mentor in your life that teaches you. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's not probable that that's going to be what takes you into more in life.
And talking to the person at the right level. So.
Oh yeah, that's good.
No,
it's good.
Craig Rochelle.
Right.
Is arguably one of the greatest Christian leaders in America. Right? Incredible. Now, would I love to have a lunch with Craig Rochelle? Shout out Craig. Let's hang out. I would love to, but guess what?
Right.
For where I am and our organization is, what I need is John McKinsey.
Yeah.
What I need is Herbert Cooper. What I need is 10 other pastors.
No, let's talk about that.
That I can only even eat what they're able to cook.
No, this is great.
But like, it would kind of be a waste of the opportunity for me to beg Craig Rochelle to meet with me right now, because his level of understanding, I don't need yet.
Right. No, when we first...
we see it at Living Church all the time.
Yeah.
That people are like, I want to meet with Pastor Truston.
Right.
Like, okay, you can come and meet with me, but man, you know who would be way better for you to meet with is this person, this person, this person.
Right.
Because they're going to be able to teach you everything you need right now.
No, it's so good. And about 6 years ago, I went to a couple different mentor places and one church to try to talk to them about their finances and how they do their budgets and all these pieces. But again, their organization was so much larger than ours at that time that
it was drinking out of a fire hose. It was overwhelming.
The context did not work for where we were at. And I had to find someone a little bit in between where we were and where they were in order for it to work. In the same regard, we every year put our feet in places that are bigger than us. It's something we really believe in, that we will go and expose ourselves to more. And so we went to Elevation Church. I don't know how many years ago has that been, 3 or something years ago. And you had a friend there that connected us, and that was great. We didn't even end up seeing him, but he connected us to someone else. Now, it could have been possible for us to be like, oh,
how dare Stephen Furtick not come
they
out?
Wouldn't come and say hi to us, which is absurd. But what you're
he got
saying
stuff
is
to
that,
do.
and that relationship from that person.
But though we didn't meet the lead, we met the number.
I don't know what he is or was
8,
10,
guy,
whatever. But also he was over exactly the area that we, as we started talking, as we got to know him more, something that we really needed. And then in the last few years, as we've stepped into new things, ironically, he was exactly the person we needed to call to help us in some things. And I think what can happen is we call somebody or we reach out and we don't get them, and then we just stop because we want the best and the most and the morest or whatever. And it's like, no, call and then also take what is given to you, because you never know the relationship that God's placed in your life.
Exactly.
And I'm saying, man, that connection has helped us in so many ways in the decisions we've made. And if we would have just been like, okay, this guy, whatever, and just given him maybe a little respect, a little time, but not really taking it. No, I'm grateful that we slowed down and we listened and we were friends now, and we have a connection to call.
We went to Gainesville, Georgia, to Free Chapel, Jensen Franklin's church, and got to meet Jensen. It was super cool, but only for a couple minutes. But then one of their staff guys gave us like a tour and the walkthrough the next day, and he was 8 years younger than me,
Probably, yeah.
but like looked it too,
Yeah.
like young guy. And it would have been easy to say like, I don't want to learn nothing from this kid.
Right.
But we sat, followed him around a whole day,
That's right.
learned so much.
So much.
Was that man younger than me? Yes. What does that matter?
Right.
He's in an organization that's way bigger.
Right.
And he was just giving us gold.
Right.
But it's because we had some humility to ask and
Yeah.
to admit, hey, I don't know.
No, even this summer you and I were looking for an answer to a question that we were trying to find and solve. And we end up meeting this guy just in a random conversation,
Yeah.
ask him a question. And he's like, I don't know the answer to your question. I think you can find it here. And we both had this like, okay, let's just move on. But we started talking. And through
Yeah.
that was really a divine conversation that we are now currently in. I was emailing with him today
Yeah.
over some stuff that we needed that we didn't know what God had planned next.
Yeah.
But God did, and He put
Well-
this person in our path. Go.
No, it's because sometimes we can see people as not as valuable.
No, you're right.
So like, if we have a meeting in an office somewhere, do you know who's really valuable?
Yep.
The
I
secretary,
know exactly what you're saying. Right.
the secretary of the person we're meeting with.
Come on, that's
Because
true.
guess who gets me the next meeting?
Yep, that person.
The person outside the office I'm there to go into.
Yep. Guess
so
who's
you
going to
see
be
it.
willing to make the phone call to move something around and shift it so it works in our schedule and theirs?
Guess who's gonna bug the boss
Yeah.
to let me come back?
Right?
Is the person outside the office.
Yep.
And so we're chatting them up.
Yes.
Ask them about their kids and
Talking about
photos.
Disney World.
We're bringing them sweet tea.
Yeah, we are.
Dude, butter that biscuit.
Yes.
Like you go and you're just kind and nice and you humble yourself that
Yeah.
I'm not the powerful one here to see your boss.
Yeah.
No, you're valuable
Yep.
and I'm going to honor you because you're the gatekeeper
Mm-hmm.
to the person that I need.
Okay, but what if I'm humble? I'm not prideful. I'm just scared. I'm just afraid.
Okay.
What if I call them and they say, "No, I don't want to help you"? What if I have a big need but I don't know, and I don't even know if I'm going to say it right or ask it right or if I'm going to look dumb or man, I mean, who even am I? Why would they even want to take my call?
When I was a youth pastor, we had a big outreach event that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent an email to Goodyear Blimp.
Of course you did.
I wanted to get the Goodyear Blimp
Yeah, of
to
course
come
you
and
did.
fly around Red Oak, Texas, promoting our student outreach that may have 800 kids.
Yeah.
They told me no.
Really?
And so then they sent me to another company who has like trucks with like big LED walls they drive around. They told me no. But the guy on the phone told me, you know what you could do is you could just get a semi-trailer and hang a banner over the side of it. I was like, that's genius.
Yep.
I tell that silly story because maybe you get told no by Goodyear Blimp,
Right.
but maybe the Goodyear Blimp conversation leads you to
Right.
the person that can actually give you the answer.
No, it's true.
because I did not have the $100,000 that the Goodyear Blimp
I was
costs.
going to charge for the 2 hours.
But you know what I did have? I had a good old boy who had a
Yep.
semi-trailer,
That's right.
and I had he gave me some old tires, and I threw tires on the roof and tied ropes to hang a banner
Smart. Yeah.
off the edge of the freeway of the
Yeah.
church. And so like, I know you're scared they're going to say no. Cool.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll say yes.
Right.
We have an event that we do in the summer called Summer Slam. It's like a midweek
Yeah.
or mid-summer
Revival. Yeah.
And so we asked a guy that I've never even met before
Yeah.
to come and preach one of those nights.
Yeah.
And we sent the invite for him to come.
Yeah.
Like he's never going to say yes.
But he did.
But he did.
Yeah.
And then I got people like, how did you get him to come and preach? I was like, I just asked him.
Yeah.
And so
No, it makes me think of
stop being scared.
We talk about emotional health. We probably need to talk more about emotional health some more and dig into that a little
Yeah.
bit more. But one of those things we've talked about before that our counselor said to us is like, what's the risk? And so like when we have emotional response, sometimes I have to navigate, okay, what is the risk? What's the worst thing that could happen? And I have to be willing to go, oh, okay, it's this. And that helps me calm down in my heart. The same is true here. What's the risk? What's the worst that could happen? They could say no.
Yeah.
And you just don't ever talk to them
Well,
again.
they say no, and then it makes you feel not important.
Right.
But guess what? that person's opinion is not what determines your importance.
No, it's true. And if we're pushing into more, we have to be willing to be told no. Like, man, in sales, they always say that you're going to get one yes for every 9 no's.
Yeah.
And like, we have to be willing to do it.
No.
Like, to know that they're going to say no, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we're not supposed to keep pushing into what God has for us. That doesn't mean we're supposed to stop. It just means this is not the right connection, because if we'll keep doing it, we will find the right one.
We went to go get a loan.
Oh yeah, this is true.
We went to go get a loan.
Yeah.
And the bank that we went to, we thought it was a done deal. We thought they were in, they liked us, all the things. They sent it to underwriting, told us no.
Yeah. That made us feel like losers.
Made me feel like such a loser. And I was so shook that I was like, maybe this isn't God's will. And then I was like, wait a minute. There's more than one bank in town.
What? That's amazing.
And so I told Whit, I was like, we'll go to 50 banks.
That's right.
This is what God has for us. He's going to do it. We just need to find somebody who believes in it.
Right.
And I think the next one we went to.
Yeah. Well, it was also a connection of somebody we knew. Actually, we called. Smart. It's true. We called to ask for advice.
Yeah.
And they said, actually, we can do it for you.
Right.
It was a friend that we knew, and we said, what do we do? Who do we call? How should we? And he said, actually, I have the connection to this place. Here's the thing. And he was able to get it done for us.
Yeah.
Gave us less fees, gave us a better rate. All the things were better because we were willing to say, not only, hey, can you help us, but also tell them that we had failed.
Yeah.
Now, we had not failed, I guess, technically, but the bank had said no. Sometimes we're not willing to even admit some of the hurdles that we've had. Mm-hmm. That's another step of the humility.
Yeah.
Hey, we're stuck. We're in a pickle.
Yeah.
Will you really, can you tell us where to go next? And because we were willing to do that, we actually got a better deal. Another question could be, well, but if I ask for their wisdom, how do I know that they're actually have my best interest in mind, that they're actually going to give me the wisdom that's going to help me? So how did we know that this banker was going to actually be good to us and not take advantage of us? How do we know and trust that their wisdom is going to be wisdom that's good for us, not something that's going to actually help them in the end?
Well, it's just through another humble ask somewhere else.
Yes,
and so it's through building a team.
Yeah.
So like, if I'm nervous that the bank's going to take advantage of me, then I just ask a guy that I really trust who knows about money to come to the meeting with me.
Yep.
To just be a set of ears in the room.
Okay.
And so we did that with our engineering process. Because I don't know about land and buying and oil, gases and pipes and stuff.
Right.
And so we just took a guy in our church who's done some land development. And I said, hey, can you just come and sit in this meeting? And then like, if something is said that you don't like, can you just like, and so he literally was like, hey, pastor, and tells me what to say, and then I say it, and then now it all gets worked out. So like the power of cross-referencing and like building a team.
It's really smart because, and even being willing in those kind of meetings to go, you know what, I don't know, so I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
And just because it's someone you've asked for help, you can still say you don't know in those meetings too.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know yet about that. I'm not really sure if I want to go that direction or that. Mm-hmm. Let me chew on it. Let me think about it. And it's just humility everywhere. You're right.
So whatever your challenge is.
Yeah.
Admit that you don't know.
Yeah.
If you have 10 kids in a youth group and you want to grow it to 25, go and ask somebody and say, hey, I've only got 10 kids. If you did $1 million in sales last year, cool. Find somebody who did 10 million in sales and buy them lunch and ask them to help you.
No, it's super good. If you, like you mentioned at the top, if you are stepping into a new season as a mom, or maybe a mom who's going back to work, if you are as a dad in a new season with your family, and now you're transitioning from diapers into like toddler life into like soccer practice, go meet with somebody else who's been there and be willing to just say, hey, can you tell me what you did? Doesn't mean you have to take every piece of their advice, but you never know what you might find.
Eat the meat and spit out the bones.
Yeah, it's super important.
We took a bunch of our volunteers to a pastor's conference.
Yeah, a local one that's not far away.
Like 70 people.
Yeah, a bunch of people.
And there's some things that this church does that I love, and there's some that I really don't like.
Right.
And so I told them all, hey, throughout this conference, we're going to eat the meat and spit out the bones.
Good.
There are going to be some things that are probably said that are not how we're going to do it in our culture.
Right.
But there are some things that we can really glean wisdom from. And so that question you just asked about how to not be taken advantage of that's another piece. Like, don't just swallow everything somebody says.
Right.
Like, weigh it against like your own
beliefs. Your own theology,
your own like ethos.
Because we've received wisdom before that we absolutely didn't take.
But it was because we knew that we were different.
And we knew that their answer came from their slant or their view or their thoughts on something that, we didn't agree with.
But like meat is meat, man. Like truth is truth. Eat it up. And this is not only true we're using a lot of business, finance stuff because that's where we are organizationally and personally right now.
It's true.
But there's been times I went to a friend who's a mentor and said, hey, I know you got really hurt by someone in your life, and I got really hurt by somebody in my life, and I start crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you tell me how you got over that?
Right.
That's kind of embarrassing.
No, it's hard.
That's embarrassing to go. I've read the Bible a bunch of times. I'm supposed to know the answers to these things, but saying like, I don't know how to do this. Well, man, I learned so much wisdom but I had to cry and I had to ask, and it was embarrassing to admit I wasn't okay. Because what we do, it's not only I know it all, but it's I'm okay. And the minute we can start saying I'm not okay, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I'm confused, I'm offended, well, now we can heal.
Well, no, even I was just telling you at lunch today that my son and I had a conversation where he was willing to like say, hey, I'm trying to navigate some stuff in my head. I'm trying to process it. And like, how do I do that? Where do I go from here? And what happens is we don't step into more. We stay stuck because we're unwilling to say, I don't really even know emotionally, personally, mentally, all of that, how to go on. And man, if we can do that,
we've got to pursue wisdom.
No, and so it's something you and I say all the time. People will hear us when we, if they work with us or if they go to our church or just maybe here, that we don't know what we're doing. We say that a lot, but what it means is we've submitted to God that, hey, you're in charge of our lives and of our business and all of these pieces. We're going to listen to your wisdom. And then because of that, we're going to submit ourselves to other godly wisdom and be willing to step into more. And so you can step into more and also admit you don't know.
And you've got to do them both.
You have to.
It takes two hands to pull the rope. It takes strength and a question.
It's true.
Dude,
strength
so good.
And humility.
Man, hey, if you guys have any questions.
That's right.
Say, I don't know. Say, hey, I don't know about this area of leadership, of leading my organization.
Yeah, or if you have questions about how to ask questions or how to call somebody for help.
There's nothing more that we'd love to do than answer your questions.
That's right.
Love you guys. See you next time.